Hi, this is Erica Patterson. I'm going over my Chapter 3 methodology in the inclusion classroom and implementing my Avoyas bullying prevention program to improve the classroom environment. My research question and action research: what is the short-term impact of the Avoyas bullying prevention program on middle level students and who have been identified as learning disabled? This is an explanation. I've provided an explanation of my action research and how I will apply it in my specific classroom to improve my own practices. And this has a focus on the reflection of what I end up finding from the data. The context of my research: in the inclusion classroom, I have an explanation of the demographics of my students in the classroom, as well as the demographics of the overall school and the district. I also address why our school qualifies as Title I, but that the fact that our district doesn't take Title I funds. Our enrollment of students and opportunities that are given to students once they reach the high school level is also covered. The teachers within our middle school, we have around 61 teachers. It changes from year to year. 62.3% have advanced degrees, 68.9% are usually on the continuing contracts. 81.8% are the numbers of the percentage that return from the previous year, and 95.4% of teachers have that's their attendance during the school year. The return from the previous year changes from year to year, as well as those with advanced and continuing contracts, depending on who is there year to year. Our PTO is very involved, and they tend to provide technology for the teachers and the classroom environments. We have iPad carts for each team, and in the last couple of years, we have increased. We've have two more iPad carts for our elective teachers, and another one that is held within the library for extra use. Our library books and the media within the library typically has, on average, been 14 years old. They're making changes to that this year, so I'm going to have to address that within my Chapter 3 methodology. And we have school-wide student Wi-Fi available, but we're finding that in different areas, students still do not have access to Wi-Fi, or it's very limited. Our test scores are also addressed. That it indicates that our school test scores for the middle school is at or above the state test scores overall. That's changing as the state changes our standardized tests that we take. So we're kind of curious to see what it is for this year. The research and design and plan, it deals with the issue of bullying within the inclusion classroom and how that bullying disrupts the classroom environment. I have two groups of students that I'm going to be testing. One is going to be the non-inclusion classroom that has students populated with it that do have behavioral infractions, and so they will not get the implementation in the first 9 weeks or during our course. The students within the inclusion classroom will get the implementation phase, starting off with the first 9 weeks, so during these 8 weeks. Afterwards, the students that all my classes will end up getting the Avoyas bullying prevention program for the school, but the first 9 weeks it'll just be my inclusion classroom. Those two classrooms will be compared to each other. Each of the classrooms will get a one-group pre-test, post-test design in the form of a survey before and after the treatment. There will be a pre-treatment behavioral coding for each of the groups, followed by a post-treatment behavioral coding for each group. So I'm going to be coding on a chart of what the behaviors are that are going on in the inclusion classroom, and what are the behaviors that are being presented in the non-inclusion classroom, and over that period of time, how have behaviors changed, because I want to see whether or not is it me or is it the actual program. I will also have field notes that I'll use to document my classroom observations, and as I'm conducting the program, I actually am involved as a participant observer, so I help moderate the lessons, but the students are really the ones that are taking the lead as to how they want to address each of the lessons, and what is it that they truly need to discuss, and how do I help navigate them through difficult topics. And then finally, I'll have student data on their actual discipline referrals. So of all the students within the inclusion classroom, I'll be able to pull from last year's data and then be able to see, well, these are how the students were last year, and after the program, this is how the students are now after the treatment of the program. Same for the non-inclusion classroom. I'll be able to see over a period of time how the students were at the end of last year, what was their data, and what's their data after. Are we going to see a difference of behaviors, or will I have to address developmental changes over the summer, and have the students changed overall, and are they different students now? My sample of students, I'm going to use a convenience sampling because I can't choose who I'm given. Like last year, I ended up having 59 of my students were beneath the 50th percentile, and 39 of those students were beneath the 30th percentile. I had no control over that. It may be different this year. I'm going to have to address will my data look different if I give a different type of environment of students, because in the last 2 years I've had pretty tough group of students. My scores, I'll have scores from the pre-test and post-test that will be analyzed to find the mean, median, and mode for each of the students and for the whole class, and I'll compare that to the mean, median, and mode from the other class from the pre and post-test surveys. I will also look at using a t-test to determine if this will help with analyzing my data. If not, I may have to refer to a different type of testing, because I want to try to show that there's a significance, or whether or not there is a significance between the pre and post. The discipline infractions will also be compared with the two groups, using a t-test to determine if there's a significant difference. The student surveys that I'll be giving are using a Likert type scale, a rating scale, to determine if there are effects of bullying in the schools or what the effects are. And those rating scales will incorporate measures of central tendency to find the median and mode to determine if there are outliers in the data. My goal is to find standard deviation in the data and to determine where are things falling. Do we see significant differences or not? At the end of my research, after I collect all the data, my data should provide results that would show whether or not the Ovea's Bullying Prevention Program shows a significant impact in student behavior. I will also have reflection of my own as I'm taking the data, implementing the program to determine if my own data collection and my own analytical process, if I'm showing significance, should this go to a school-wide, or do I need to retest the data to see if there possibly is, like, if I don't have enough significance, do I need to do a retest in the next year or in the next phase to, as we go on, will there be a larger impact over a course or a period of time?